what a game we witnessed at the Wankhede. Some wild momentum shifts from the Sunrisers looking like they're going to boss it after Umran Malik had a say in the middle overs. Then came Tim David. Where was Tim David? Surely that question is going to be asked now by Mumbai Indians fans. Literally got the game into the Mumbai Indians' lap and then ran himself out to then turn tides tremendously. It had a lot of event, that game, so we will pick up its key moments, look back at it, and discuss it with Ravi, Shastri and Dan Vettori on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by IQ 9 5G. Can't help but think we have to start with the Tim David run-out. Then we'll come to the Tim David innings. 19 of 13, runs himself out. Gee, that has to be the turning point, simple as that.
Simple as that. I don't think it needs too much more explanation because he's obviously pulled them back from the brink with those 4 sixes off Natarajan. And it looked like it was Mumbai's game to win. And I think sometimes in those situations, when a batsman's going so well, he forgets he's got a partner. And Ramandeep Singh proved at the end that he can hit it as well. And for the sake of one ball, for the sake of one run, as we always talk about, a run out, it's just not worth it. So it was a big mistake and cost them the game in the end.
Would you call that an error of judgment or a brain fade, or like what did you use, or just an adrenaline rush?
I think an adrenaline rush. Obviously, he wanted to finish the game. He wanted to be the man because he'd done so well. He'd done such a fantastic job. I mean, 44 off 26 balls from nowhere. That over where we see Natarajan as the death over specialist, but he missed because he was put under so much pressure. And to David, it looks like you have to be inch perfect. Otherwise, he's going to destroy you. And that's pretty incredible for a guy in his first IPL.
I mean, he's got 46 of 18 as Tim David. That is incredible. A 26-run over. Let's go to Ravi Shastri for that. Ravi, take me through those 12 balls. The Natarajan over to David. His decision to turn down a single, keep strike, then take a single, and the following Bhuvaneshwar Kumar over.
So you could see what Natarajan was trying. He's excellent when it comes to bowling Yorkers. But what Tim David showed, that the margin for error against him is minimal. Especially being a tall, strapping guy. If you don't get the Yorker right and it ends up being full tosses, he'll park you in the crowd, in the stands, and way back in the stands, which he did. And then that run out, it was, I wouldn't say error in judgment. It was just not understanding his opposition. He wasn't batting with Bumrah. He was batting with a bloke who's a better batsman than a bowler. He might have taken 3 wickets today, Ramandeep, but he's in the side as a batting all-rounder. So, that little bit of trust should have been there. And so it cost them the game, that mistake. But I would look at the positives for Mumbai with Pollard retiring, maybe not playing next season. I mean, what a replacement. They've got this guy. If they can give him the confidence, and with this exposure, I'm sure he's going to grow. He could be deadly, batting at 5 or 6 for Mumbai in the future.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question that was raised even by Ian Bishop on commentary. Has the baton passed? We've been asking this too. You still believe Pollard could be part of the Mumbai Indians plan, but do they clearly have the better option now at this stage of their careers?
I think we can't write off Pollard just yet. I think the team can evolve with both of them. I think Tim David should bat 4. I think he could even go higher. There's no reason, and we've had this conversation on numerous times around closes, and even tonight, there's no reason why he shouldn't go in ahead of Daniel Sams because he's just a better batsman. And so you're making a gamble by putting Daniel Sams in there, particularly against Umran Malik. Whereas I think Tim David feels like he can handle any situation, and that's credit to him in such a short period of time being involved in the game.
Ravi, would you echo that sentiment? Give David more batting time. Don't use him just as a closer.
Absolutely, because he can finish the game for you. Why wait for the last 5 overs? When you have ammunition that can destroy the opposition, between the 7th and the 15th, use it and go the other way around. Have the guys at the back to finish it then. Because your targets in a chase with a guy like David going up, he'll always bring down that required run rate. And make it a lot easier in the last 3-4 overs. He's got the power. He's got like I said, a strapping guy. Ideal replacement for Pollard. You don't know if Pollard will play next year, but if they both play, can you imagine both at the crease together?
It's a call that the Mumbai Indians have to make, but the game still had to be won for the Sunrisers, even after David's wicket. 19 of 12, things have happened with 19 of 12. We've seen tailenders get 19 of 12. That over from Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Ravi. We talked him up in the pre-show today as well. Now, would you say, oh, he had Bumrah at the other end? Or do you say, no, that is as good an over as you'll see?
No, look at the execution under pressure. We say that if this guy is fit, he walks into an Indian team. Danny mentioned earlier, in his pomp in 2016-17, he troubled the best in the world. He would get the best guys out. I've seen him bowling at his prime against Australia, with Finch and Warner at their prime, and he did let them move, in white ball cricket. So this guy, if he's fit, he's got the ability, he's got the skill, he's got the capability of executing those plans under pressure. Under pressure, I remember last year in the series against England in India, he just hit his straps, even though he was not bowling at his best pace-wise. He still hit his straps and didn't allow England to move. He won the series for us. So this guy has got tremendous experience. To bowl a wicket maiden at that stage it's 24 karat gold, 19th over.
I mean, even if he concedes one boundary, you think Mumbai might get over the line. If you just look at the eventual difference, it makes no difference that he's got just Bumrah at the other end.
Well, it makes a massive difference. I mean, that'd be his dream to bowl the penultimate over to Bumrah. I think we have to acknowledge that, because that just allows a bowler a little bit more confidence that they can make a few mistakes and they'll get away with it. Whereas if he's bowling to Tim David, then he has to be perfect. If he's bowling to Ramandeep Singh, I think he has to be perfect as well. But Bumrah allows him a little bit more leeway, but he didn't need it. He was just perfect, and he continued on his earlier bowling as well, which I think in a lot of ways kept them in the game early.
We have to talk about the middle overs. It looked like Rohit Sharma and Ishan Kishan had given them a platform, but the Umran Malik story continues to evolve. After a tough first over, what do you make of his impact in the middle?
Well, in some ways, I think the more erratic he is, the harder he is to face. And that first over was as erratic as you could get, because he's bowling full tosses and then obviously bounces and then the continuation of the free hit. So that unsettles a batsman, particularly at that pace. I mean, hit Rohit Sharma in the head and went for 4. There's just so much going on for a batsman to deal with. And then once he gets that first wicket, then it puts so much pressure on that new batsman. And I think that's where people get so excited about pace. It's pace against new batsmen. It's so dangerous, and it puts so much pressure on incoming batsmen.
Ravi, I remember us speaking about Umran in the early parts of the IPL when he was on the way up. You mentioned this guy could have an impact in red ball cricket too. We've now seen, I guess, what a long tournament can do. He's had a graph that's fallen. He's gone wicketless. He's been expensive. Looking deeper into the season now, how do you see Umran Malik, the bowler? Has he improved?
I think he'll get better and better. You see his bowling once he takes the wicket. Look at the lines that he starts bowling. As opposed to when he's not got a wicket. That's when he's trying everything. His lines are all over the place. You don't want him to cut down on pace. I mean, the last thing you would tell him is, in looking for control, cut down on pace. What you want him to do is get his lines right. If he can bowl that stump line, attack the stumps on a constant basis, varying his length, he'll trouble anyone. And a newcomer coming in, if he gets a wicket and a new guy comes in, he can really rattle him, because he's got the pace. He can keep the bloke on his toes, but it's that line. If he gets it into that channel without cutting his pace, I think he'll do. It'll make a huge difference.
We keep hearing the term, Ravi, you've got to manage this sort of talent. What exactly would that mean now? How do you manage Umran Malik at the back of an IPL like this?
I mean, just tell him to do what he does best, which is bowl fast, but also educate him on the lines you got to bowl. Tell him there are those 3 stumps there. Focus on that, and get that right first. After that, you can try the whatever other skills you want to learn, but try and get this right. It should be more than enough. And I promise you, this guy is going to be a handful in red ball cricket. Handful, really. If he is part of an Indian pace battery that has Bumrah, Shami, you add this bloke in and a 4th guy, I think it's going to be a serious attack.
Ravi makes a point of red ball cricket, which I find very interesting. You said previously on our show about Umran that Shane Bond used to narrate, the more he bowled, the slower he got. How does that balance out with Umran's potential red ball prospects?
Well, I think it takes careful management. And when I say Shane Bond talked about that, he talks about a lot of the Indian fast bowlers bowling every day. So they come to the nets and they bowl and they bowl and they bowl. And it's just hard to keep that up because it takes such a physical toll. So Ravi's right. Umran Malik could be a force in Test cricket and red ball cricket, but he's got to understand what it takes to build up to a Test match, then to rest and then to build again. So I think it takes some careful management around his loads. You never want to take anything away from his pace because that's what's got him there. But bowling fast is hard. I mean, it takes a lot out of them. So he just has to pick and choose his times, more around training than game day. So you want everything built towards game day.
Can't help but think Kane Williamson's in his ear quite often, especially in that first over where he's bowling no balls, not just for height, but for 2 bouncers in an over. That sort of thing can bite you on a certain day. It almost seems like on those days you feel like he's not got control of his pace.
Well, I think he's trying too hard. I think he's watched what Ishan Kishan and Rohit Sharma have done, and I'm going to come in and change the game. I'm going to make things happen. I'm going to do something quickly. My pace is good enough, and then he's gone away from Ravi's point again around accuracy. His accuracy and his pace will take him to the next level, and we've seen him be accurate. We've seen him be able to put together a consistent 4 over spells, and that's all he'll need to bowl in Test cricket as well. I don't think captains will expect more than 4 over spells, and so if the accuracy comes with that pace, then he'll make a difference in any format.
Ravi, if anything to add, and also he's not a centrally contracted player, but is he now the kind of talent that the NCA should take in? You know Indian cricket better than anybody. This is someone that needs very careful management now.
Absolutely, and central contract straight away, and keep him in the mix. Don't let him float around. Keep him in the mix with the main players, and then he learns from being around with the Shamis and the Bumrahs, and see the way they train, see the way they manage their workload. Of course, there'll be the team management there, the support staff that will help him do that. But don't let him astray at the moment. Get him into the mix and keep him there and groom him.
Did you notice how I didn't ask if he's going to be part of the World Cup? Anyway, let's move on, shall we? As we look at perhaps just key moments of this game, Ravi, Sunrisers, would you go back to the Tripathi innings? Would you say that was the most defining sort of phase of play? Would you say this game was won by Bhuvaneshwar Kumar? What do you think was the most decisive period of play today?
I think he set up the game. That partnership with Tripathi and Priyam set it up because it was 2 young players playing fearless cricket and playing proper cricketing shots. There wasn't an element of slogging there. They were just getting into great positions and playing around with the field and the lines of the bowlers. So I thought that partnership really set it up. And then, of course, Bhuvi towards the end. You need, it becomes a tough call then. Who do you give the man of the match to? And when someone bowls a 19th over, that's a maiden, and turns the game on its head, you might well be tempted to go in that direction. But I would still go with Tripathi because he set up the game. Without his innings, Mumbai would have been chasing 160 at the most.
I've heard a number of you guys say when it's 190, you expect the bowlers to defend it. So does the accolade go to the batter then, Tripathi?
I think it does in this case. I think just because of the nature of the innings, there wasn't, probably apart from Pooran and Priyam Garg, it didn't feel as fluent for anyone else. So I think when you get to that 70-odd mark with that high strike rate, I think you're just putting the game away from the opposition, and you just don't get there without a performance like Tripathi. And also, I think it was good to watch. So let's give him something.
Yeah, or maybe we could give it to Tim David because he actually won it for both games. He literally won it for Mumbai and then ran himself out. So
there's enough awards, so maybe they cater for that.
Of course they do. But on a very serious note, the David question will be asked. This is the kind of thing that almost makes a management look as bad as it does good, that they left this guy out 2 games into the season and played 2 overseas in 1 game without David. Now this is what he's finished with. You can only help but wonder what if.
Well, we want Mahela on the show, so we can understand. So if you can organise that, we can ask him the question.
Mahela could be on the show. Mahela could be on the show only if he doesn't have a commitment with the Mumbai Indians next year. You know how we roll. If you're not working, you join Cricket Force. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, look at you. Look at Ravi. Yeah, look at everybody.
Yeah, but we want to be here. I think, like we've said, you have to give that Mumbai Indians management some credit because they've been so good for so long and they've made so many good decisions, whether it's bringing young players through or their consistency selection. So it's the 2 overseas that's fascinating. That Tim David's sitting there. Tamal Mills, I think, was sitting there at the time. I can't remember the 2 they actually played, but there They had a lot of options, and so
And one of those was Brevis. I do remember that.
Was already in
so
the team.
out of the two overseas, one was Brevis at
Yeah.
that time.
So I mean,
And the other was Pollard, yeah.
fascinating. So I can't answer it, but they deserve some respect around their decision making from the past.
That's the Franchise Coaches Club union. Now let me just ask Ravi, because Ravi, you said at the mid-show too, Williamson's call to play in the back, that's 3 games too late. Sunrisers may still end up with a more generous review of the season. Mumbai Indians, when they took this call to just leave David out after 2 games, how does that look now? I mean, when we've seen a defining innings from him, albeit not with the result.
You paid a certain price for him, right? And a proper price. Then, and I'll be blunt here, jolly well stick to him, give him the opportunities in the first 6, 7, 8 games and see how it goes before, you ask him to sit on the bench. As simple as that.
Yep. Something for the management of the Mumbai Indians, the very successful management of the Mumbai Indians, to think about. We've already discussed whether he could be the replacement for Pollard, the successor to Pollard, or an accomplice to, along with Pollard, if they are to look at a different sort of approach in 2023. Can't rule out Jofra Archer in the equation of the overseas players as well. Poor Tristan Stubbs, let's just give him a mention. He couldn't have a worse start to his IPL career. He'll probably get another game. Maybe everyone with Tim David needs to just not back up.
There's no running with David.
Yeah,
That's
no running with
new
David.
rule.
All right, that's pretty much it. The Sunrisers stay alive mathematically. That's just about it. It's not going to happen. Dan Vettori is annoyed that I keep using this term. But at least they would end in a more respectful position. Mumbai now with 10 losses are almost confirmed to finish at the bottom of the table with that inferior net run rate to CSK, regardless of how things go for either of those two teams in the final game in the league phase. So Sunrisers live to see another day mathematically, but it's unlikely that they will go through. Like I said, they are the least favourable in positions for the race to a 14-team tie, or rather a 14-point tie among 4 teams. Let's look at the Maruti Suzuki Driving School poll of the day before we rack it up. Who do you think will score the most runs in this game is the question that we had asked, and Tripathi was outstanding. So for his 76, he will feature in the others section.
Well done, others.
Yeah, just keep voting others. I can't believe people still don't vote others.
Exactly. It's easy money.
We've been doing this all. There's no money.
Oh, sorry.
There's a Maruti. No, there isn't. All right,
Easy Maruti.
that's
Sorry,
enough.
nothing.
This is Ravi's first day on Link. He thinks this is the sort of nonsense we do. He's probably not going to join tomorrow. Ravi, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Look forward to your company tomorrow. Daniel Vettori, always a pleasure. And we will see you tomorrow. It's a big game. KKR against Lucknow. KKR in the best position if we do see a 14-point tie. So join us for Lucknow against Kolkata on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket Info T20 Timeout, powered by IQ 95G. Good night.